Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add discussion of our county vehicles for the maintenance department to our agenda. I'd like to make that motion that we discuss those vehicles. Only a second.
I'll second it.
Okay.
We'll add it to
Yeah, at the end.
At the end, or
Yeah.
any discussion on the motion? Vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say. I will move Judge Stewart up ahead of medical care facility.
Medical care facility, I apologize. I'm just going to take 30 seconds. I'm going to be back across the street where I belong. Gentlemen of the committee, good morning, good afternoon. How are you? I'm Matt Stewart, Circuit Judge. I was last before you in the spring of this year, and I asked your permission to apply for a drug court grant. We did do that, and we were approved for $24,000. Since then, we've been busy. We now have a team. My court administrator, Chrissy Lab, is a program director. Prosecuting attorney Dina Finnegan, defense attorney Matt McCone, Kim Eisenbeis from Circuit Court Probation, Brenda Keisling, and Cheryl Bryce are all on our team. We expect to start taking patients as early as April of next year. And how this works is that we're going to create a line item in our circuit court budget, and as we expend money, the drug court grant, the state will reimburse us accordingly. So it's a win-win for everybody, especially the people of Shiawassee County. So what I'm doing here today is I'm asking your permission to sign the contract, obligate ourselves under the drug court program, and get moving.
I'll make that motion that we move it to Wednesday's meeting.
Second. Any discussion? Vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say. Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. In fact, my team is going to be in Livingston County observing another drug court in action, so I won't be able to be here to present, so I hope that you'll remember my comments and things we talked about before. And thank you so much, and again, medical care facility.
Not the medical. Why does he think we're the medical care facility?
Maybe we look like we need
Are
it.
you trying to insult us?
No, who's in front of me?
This is Central District.
We're 911, Central Dispatch.
I was looking at the agenda.
Yeah.
They're in front of you, but they're not here.
I'm going back to my courthouse.
I was going to say, you're trying to tell us how it's all the white hairs. We were discussing our white hair today.
Since January, I've kept plenty myself. Thank you all very much. Have a good day.
All right, now we'll move to medical care facility building. Financing options.
They will be here on Wednesday for a presentation.
I'll just move I'll move the medical care facility building discussion and financing options to Wednesday.
Second. Motion and second, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say. Motion carries. So we still got to do this.
6.
Okay. 1 and 6. Wait, we did 6. We're on 7. 5. No, we already did 5. We already did 6.
Did we do C and D?
Is that all? That's all going forward, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's all going forward to Wednesday's meeting.
Yeah, I just moved the whole discussion
seven.
and the financing options to, and that's all the subsection of 4, so that all got moved to Wednesday. And then on number 5, I believe that's what
That's what he's.
the judge was here for. We have number 6 that also consider approving. We can move that to Wednesday.
That's what he wanted us to move, wasn't it?
Well, 5.
Number 6.
5 and 6.
Was
were
it 6?
together.
5 was not a motion?
Number 6 is the motion.
Okay.
Number 5.
All right. Got you.
It's been moved.
Thank you.
And number 8 will be the motion for number 7, right? Okay. All right.
Who's on first, what's on second?
Yeah, there you go. You're up.
Ready?
You're up. We're ready.
Yeah.
We got this figured out.
Okay.
I submitted a letter along with some bids for some digital recording equipment. The money is in all of our budgets. We are just asking that we be able to spend that money and give probate district and circuit court the same digital recording.
That's right.
We will be able to interchange our resources by doing that. So we're not asking for money, we have the money in our budgets.
Well, those are the kind of motions you like to make.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say.
Again, we'll talk about it on Wednesday again, and then we will final approval on Thursday.
Okay, and I will be, I'm part of the drug court team,
Yes.
so I will be in Livingston County.
But we will-
But if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll move to agenda item 9, consider approving the 2016 county holidays.
I'll make that motion.
We have a second. I'll second that.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
On to agenda item 10, consider authorizing health department to hire public health nurse 2, refill vacancy at the SEIU. Their salary range of $42,545.34 to $52,365.20.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. And item 11, consider approving the 2015 apportionment report prepared by county equalization.
I'll make that motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Just a little discussion. Pete, anything that you'd like to add? And they're awful small numbers, but they add up to a lot.
This is just a required report to the state of Michigan that is essentially your blessing of the spread of millages. You all dealt with the 4029 that the county did, levying your millage. Well, each unit did that too. This is pulling all those together, sending them to the state. That's essentially what it is. So you're levying the spread of millages on the taxable value for their taxes. And tax bills have already been sent to the printer, so I'm hoping you approve them.
All right, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. And item 12, consider approving resolution 15-11-22, ratifying the tentative agreement reached with the AFSCME.
I'll make that motion.
Second the motion. Discussion?
This falls in line with our changes.
Yes, sir.
Paying Friday night.
Yes,
Good to get it out.
I'd just like to thank Chairman Howie for all his due diligence taking care of this.
Any further? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. And item 13, consider approving a one-year renewal of excess workers' compensation with Midwest employers for the period of December 20th, 2015 to December 19th, 2016, with an SIR of $450,000 and an estimated annual premium of $46,393, and authorize the board chair to sign the same.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
For discussion, I read the discussion, and would somebody like to try to explain that?
So essentially, our workers' comp, looking at insurance changes. The plans that we have, they're comparable. But one increases our retention for occurrence by $50,000. And that's the plan that we'd like to stay within the Midwest Employee A+ plan for 1 year, option 1. That's what we're looking at.
Yeah, I noticed that the discussion, and Joanne Cameron, who wrote this, she said, we want to maintain what we have, because once we go up, we would continually pay more money, and it might have to go higher, but if we keep where we're at, we can't change it. So we're actually saving the county some money, because they're telling us the ins and outs of workers' comp. That in a nutshell.
Cheryl, do you want to add anything?
Sure. If you look on that last page, Commissioners, there are 3 columns. The first column is the option we have right now. What they're talking about is a self-insured retention. This is excess insurance. We are self-insured up until $450,000. Once we reach that for medical or wages, what have you, once we reach that, the excess insurance kicks in. So what Joanne was talking about is the third column, the SIR is $500,000. We really don't want to do that. That exposes us to another $50,000 of cost, and that's really what Joanne was talking about.
Okay.
And down towards the bottom, that is an estimated policy cost for excess insurance. And we will not know the actual until they do a payroll audit on this. It's all based on payroll.
Thanks,
Is that
Cheryl.
helpful?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Anything further? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. We move to agenda item 14, consider approving budget amendments 15-12, 15-13, 15-14, 15-15, and 15-16.
I'll make that motion.
Support that motion. Any discussion? Vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. Brings us to the operating millage discussion.
Let me talk a little bit before we get into our reviewing. We've been meeting and discussing what's going to happen with our 911 operating. Am I getting wrong? Okay, sorry.
So, go ahead.
Oh, you want me to? Yeah.
So House Bill 4904 passed the House Senate, was concurred in the House, was sent to the governor. He has 14 days from that date to sign it, which would allow local municipalities to join the presidential primary on March 8th for elections. This is a date that we could use to go after our operating millage. It wouldn't cost the county anything. There is a caveat to that, that it's not just another millage where we can approve it and move it on. We would have to expeditiously go through the process. The extension and alteration process includes us passing a resolution, which we could get this week. But it also would require the appointment of a county advisory tax limitation committee, which is to provide and suggest the limitation of the millage and the years. This would include the county treasurer, chairperson of the finance committee, and then the county intermediate school district superintendent, as well as a probate judge would have to select a member from a city or village, a township member or a village member. A township supervisor is to be selected by the majority of the township supervisors, as well as a person at large who is not related to the local or county unit of government. We would then have 10 days to get these appointments done, and they would suggest the millage rate if we wanted to go forward, based on their discussions and hearings. Upon receiving the advisory tax limitation committee's recommendation, we would place this on the March 8th ballot of the Board of Voters. We will need to pass a resolution formally this week if that's something we are interested in. I could see the want, and I think this is something we should pursue as our operating millage expires December 31st of 2016. It was set in 1996 for 20 years, and we are at our limit. This isn't something that we add on. This is to provide the core services to the community. We've made a lot of changes in the last few years to live within our means, if you will. And at this time, without these dollars, it would be interesting to see what happens to the county government and the services we provide. Is this something you guys would like to pursue? By all means.
let's discuss. I think this is important.
I want to understand fully. The committee itself will propose the amount of that millage?
Yes, sir. And we have until December 14th to make this happen, to get it on the market.
That will be held as open meeting, open special meetings?
I would recommend highly, yes. The good part about this way is people are involved. I mean, it's not us determining and pushing it down people's throats. It's a committee together looking to provide services to the public.
Are we gonna have people that want to get involved?
As far as with this committee,
Yeah.
If I understand it correctly, we've got a good representative who does it sounds like.
Yes, and you'll have a township supervisor here, we could ask if that's something that he would be interested in, or someone that he might suggest, or something that they could get through.
Yes to both your answers, Mr. Chairman, for both your questions.
Thank you, sir, and I would be happy to take recommendations up until Wednesday at, say, 1 o'clock, for people who think might benefit us in the long run on getting this through.
We've had a lot of discussions as to, in 1996 was, the voters approved 5.555. Today it's approximately 5.143. Knowing the values in the county have decreased property-wise, income levels in Shasta County have dropped dramatically per household. What we ask for is, will determine if it passes or not. Obviously.
Essentially.
I mean, I think we all know that. But the figure that group would come up with, it could be a figure that doesn't have a chance or has a chance. And in theory, if we go back to we ask for a renewal, it's 5.555. That's a renewal. That would bring into our county revenue approximately, for the sake of argument, $735,000 more. If you're looking at like 5.45, which is less, of course, than the renewal of 96, that might be $680,000. If this group determines they want to ask for more than 5.555, then instead of being a renewal or 5.45 would be a reduction, then that they would certainly, I would hope that they would have a campaign to convince the voters that we needed more than 5.555, or if it was a reduction, more than 5.45. I think the Board of Commissioners, this is a discussion that's been ongoing for quite some time as to what do we really want to ask for and how long. Many counties have gone to renewals every 4 years, or 6 years, 8 years. The long thing about 20 years isn't done much anymore because of the Headley law that overrides everything, but lately it hasn't had much impact because property values have not been going up for quite some time on average. But I'd like, what do the Board of Commissioners think? We're all here today, so.
I like the idea of going after this road. I like the idea of 6 years. That way it falls again on voting election year, so we're not paying for a special election. That way the voters have more of a say more often. Realistically, I don't think 5.55 happens. But I do think with some of the changes we've made, we'll support more than the 5.1146. Doing a lot of good. We're bringing in drug courts. I mean, we could discuss the emergency management position as well. I mean, there are things that we could do. Out of our general fund, we pay for the delinquent children of this county about $350,000 a year, $330,000 a year, and neglected children about $160,000 a year. And we're finding and seeing more of those children. Those are expenses that come out of us that I think people would be likely to support due to the fact that, at what point is it the county's job, what point is it being a human, the humanity's job? I'd like to go forward with this.
I certainly want to stress that same point. I think at least as important as the amount that we put down is the fact that we have the public's involvement with the committees as we form. And if we have the opportunity to explain in detail, where it is that money is going to go, we're asking for an adjustment. I think that is really the only way in which this is going to stop.
We have to. It's going to be difficult. We have to show where each dollar is going, an additional dollar, or each dollar. A lot of people don't know exactly what all of our departments do. You don't think about the service until you need it. And that's some of the problems. We're going to have difficulty, but I think if we bring this group together, along with the business community, we're not making a recommendation. We can suggest, which I think we have to make a valid point to get there, but there will be problems. Just like people are asking me if the 911 millage is another sheriff's millage. That's the confusion that'll be out there.
I just like to point out on the budgetary aspects, even though we're going to be awful close to balancing our budget this year, we're still going to take some money from the tax delinquent fund. Well, again, next year, we'll be close, but we'll still take some money from the tax delinquent fund. If we get to the 5.55 level, which is called a renewal, our budget this year and next year would have a surplus most likely if we didn't add anything. But what creeps into everything every year is the creep of insurance, overhead, cost of fixing roofs, all those kind of things, and that creep, and you'll hear it in the next presentation too, that creep can be 2 to 3% a year no matter what you do. You can try to save this and that, but it's still going up a little bit every year. But if we just ask for a renewal, then the 50 people that we've replaced, we haven't replaced in our county for a number of years now, we won't be replacing them. That isn't going to happen. Does that mean we bring more people back for road patrol? Most likely not. There may be a few, depending on how the sheriff runs his department, how things are organized. Little things can change. But to bring back 14, 16 people probably is not going to happen. Yeah. And again, that was the big chunk. I'm just pointing that out. I'm a believer, and I think a lot of us are too, when we discuss this, that we want the revenues that we take in to fund all activities of the county without taking too much from the tax delinquent fund. Yes, the tax delinquent fund will grow. But as we've seen, we need that, of course, for cash flow, for all the things that the treasurer has to do and the county has to do. And then second of all, if it builds, then we have the ability to do some things in the future that we wouldn't have to ask millage for. That fund would grow, and we could use those monies in other things. So that is a kind of a wrap on, if we go above 5.555, to bring back some of the things for all departments, which will include the sheriff's department. We're looking at the way revenues have come in from property taxes. We're looking at probably 6 mils plus instead of 5.555. I don't know what level it is, I haven't really figured it out, but to do everything we did in 2008, 5.555 won't do it, and everything we're doing right now, it would barely do it at 5.555. So, status quo is probably in the range of renewal, or a little bit less, but to do much more than renewal, that would be might be a tough step.
Yeah, to talk about the point of employees, in 1996 we had 301 employees. Now we have 225. Part of this would be important to think about is this includes the ISD and our townships, as our delinquent tax fund does make payouts. Like 4.3 million in the summer to these entities. For instance, in 96, our 5.55 county level was 1.0 mil for the townships and 0.245 mil for the intermediate schools. Well, the minimum being 0.1 for the ISD and 1 for the township. Close there as well. But I think it's important to note that we do help not just our own employees, but we're helping ISD, we're helping townships, albeit, maybe a
Yeah,
small number.
you're absolutely right, Chairman. What it does is that they get to, whatever they budget, they have money for it. If they had to wait for those delinquent taxes, the budgets would be considerably less. So what we need is a motion today to form.
I make a motion to form, to pass the resolution, put a resolution on Wednesdays, a resolution to move the operating village to March on the committee of the whole agenda. And until Wednesday at 1 o'clock, suggestions for township supervisor, citizen at large, and I think that's, and who else is the ISD?
Is that 7 individuals?
I believe so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6? Oh,
Yeah. That could be good though.
Yeah. Okay, 6 people. I would make that motion, so we need to discuss how everybody feels. I think commissioners all have to say what they're, because if we don't.
have to be united on this, and so everybody has to have.
I mean, you can do it March 8th, we can wait till August primary, you can do it in November election.
Right. It's important to note that in August you've got MSU Extension, you've got Shiawassee County Medical Care Facility villages are off. Other people are going as well.
But I'll make the motion that we would move it to the committee of the whole on Wednesday, the resolution, to put it on the March ballot.
Second.
That's 4.
Yeah, I mean, we have, I made the motion. Now, as commissioners, how do you feel about putting it on the March ballot? I mean, we don't know exactly what this city. Yeah.
I think it's too soon. I think we need to collaborate with our departments. Our departments need to show what they do on a daily basis that people don't even realize, that they take for granted. I think if we work together with everyone, a renewal, I know it's going to be tough to work with a renewal, it's going to be less than maybe we need, but I think selling a renewal is easier than selling, and the time frame. I think a time frame of the entire year till August helps keep people, it gives us a chance to get to everybody, let everybody know. I mean, I like the 4 to 6 years, I think that'd be good. Keep it on a presidential, keep it on a midterm election, but 5.5 would be my suggestion, a straight renewal of what we had. I mean, I know it's not quite what we need, but I think think that's easier to sell, but I think the biggest thing will be educating everyone. And I think all of us need to take a part in it. And I think there's a lot of departments that people in the county don't even realize what they do every day. And it'd be nice for them to know. Maybe put something in the paper. Maybe we'll, I don't know, just throwing ideas out. But I think we all need to kind of be on the same page, whether it's August. I think August would be better. And I like the March idea, but I feel it's too soon. It's going to be too soon to rush a committee together, to start making decisions. I mean, you're talking 6 people with 6 different schedules, with all on a time crunch. So, just my opinion.
I just want to emphasize, I guess my opinion is I think we should shoot for the March date. And I think on these matters, we tend to be procrastinators. And I really don't want to see that take place, especially in terms of beginning the process of putting that committee together and getting the education out to the townships, to the city councils, because all these issues are pretty vital, and I hate to see that get all caught up in the primaries and presidential election, and end up being, not the most important thing on people's mind.
I think we should try to shoot for March and see what happens. Get the committee together and see what we can do. Simple as that. I mean, just see how far we can carry it, and if it works out, get everything together, we'll shoot for March, and we don't get all the ducks in a row, we'll have to wait. So just gonna give it a try.
I just like, in elections, now, today we're going to hear a presentation from Central Dispatch Board and their director. We've had discussions on when they would like to see their proposal on the ballot. They're thinking March. If that doesn't work, then they would be thinking about May, but of course they have to end up paying for the election. Keep in mind that August and November, there's going to be a lot of ballot action on people running for office, primaries. I'm sure we'll have some state proposals. Somebody always throws something in there. And we know that if you've got too many proposals on a ballot, most of them get defeated. Because people get confused and they just vote no. And that's just a statistic. In thinking about March, we control what will be on March ballots, period. Because on primaries, the state pays for it. But we determine as a board of commissioners, and that's got to be quick, that's got to be by December 12th, what is on that ballot. Now let me just talk a little bit. I was going to talk about it in the next portion about 911 money. They're trying to get ahead of the curve for the expenses that are come between 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 for the new systems that cost a lot of money. Presently, their budget is okay. They have a fund balance. That's really not okay. They've been treading water for quite some time. So they want more money per line out there. But we'll get into that discussion. But let's take a little bit of the politics of it. If the county board decides through this committee that they wish to ask for we'll just take for the discussion, a renewal, and that 5.555 is not an increase, that helps our position probably with the electorate, because nobody likes taxes. It also might help the position of the 911 monies. If we ask for less than 5.555, that really enhances some positive things in a sense with the voter. That also makes it, again, might help the 911. If this committee decides to ask for more than 5.555, not a renewal, but an addition, then the no voters could be more. I mean, this is what we talked about, this is the kind of discussion we need. But I think overall, the Central Dispatch Board is prepared to have a mount a vigorous campaign, vigorous, that was a good term, vigorous campaign to ask the voters for what they need and tell them why. If those are the only two things on the ballot, other than the presidential primary, then I think that it might have a decent chance.
I think we'll lose. They'll win, we'll lose.
Yeah, well,
Competing ballot proposals, we've seen what happens.
yeah. Well, that's,
They lost. You know,
Yeah.
The sheriff's department lost and the veterans won. And I mean, I think this is the same thing. They're gonna say the county board, who wastes money year after year, is asking for money, or we want 911 that can make sure police and fire and EMS are there when we need it. It's a no-brainer. They're gonna say they want that, we get the county.
well,
That's why we're having an independent committee.
Yeah, I
The
know.
numbers.
It seems like we're really, I don't know.
And I've tried for 11 months to get the finance committee to start working on this ballot stuff, and you guys haven't did anything in 11 months on it yet. So what's to say that you're going to do anything in the next 11 months?
We'll see.
well, anyway, this is the discussion. And we need to have that discussion. So, I would say that 911, if their ballot is and the campaign for what they need, all of us do, let's be all of us, then that can, I think, Jeremy, they would be successful. The county operating, if it's not successful, then we do have a chance in the August primary. Not successful, then we, I don't know, can you vote for it twice in a year? I don't know. I think you can, but I don't know that.
And you gotta consider there likely to be more school bombs going forward.
School ballots will be in May. I think there's several talks of
That's what I've
a
heard.
big local one that may want to do it again in May. And I just think for the sake, before it gets to summer, everybody goes outside and doesn't listen to the radio and doesn't read the paper because they're all going to get tired of politics by August, that, I mean, we can throw it all up in the air, but it's up to this group to vote to see what we want to do. And again, we're trying to put everything out there to make a decision. My personal belief at this time, in this discussion, is that we should go in March. I think the 911 and what they're asking for and what their proposals will be and why they need it, I think that will go. I think that people want somebody to come when there's 911. The dial phone, they want the fire department to come with the police. Yeah, I understand that. But I think county operational, nobody can say that we've been spending like drunken sailors, not when you got 50 less employees and your budget's considerably less than it was 3 or 4 years ago, and everything's been going up 3 to 5% a year.
Sure, our long retirement liabilities are 4%. Everything keeps going up, and here we are trying to maintain the same service. We're going to provide better service at the same amount, and I think March is likely our only chance where we will be alone.
We'll be counting them.
It's the fact that the state just passed this on the 10th. I mean, they kind of tied our hands for 2 months there. I mean, it was introduced in October, just passed it, Governor still hasn't signed it yet. At the same time, by law, we have to put this committee together, which I think is a benefit.
Thank you. Jeremy, I agree with you, is that we should be looking more at educating the public on what they feel So they're educated on, on what needs to be done. Let them make the call and work towards August. If we could do it any faster than that, it would be like things have operated in the past. You have to take A or B and don't even consider anything else. And I think the best bet is let the public decide by giving them a better education on what's we all need.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to, I just think we'll rush it. I mean, people don't want to vote for something 3 times. You know what's going to happen? The margin of how much you fail by is going to get bigger every single time you keep putting it back up in front of you. So, I mean, if we put it out in March, yes, and it fails, guaranteed it's going to fail in August because they're going to be mad. They say, we just voted this down, why are you putting it back out there? I mean, it just makes sense. That's what as a voter, that's what I would do. I would say, I've already said no, so why are you bringing it to me again?
And no matter how you dress it up, it's going to be the same speech.
Well, the school district just gained 500 votes and they put it on twice. We'll see what they do in the third.
That's not the entire county.
True.
It's a district, and that depends on who's around, who votes, who's there.
And that's where I think it's important about transparency. Well, it's education. I think transparency trumps education.
If I may,
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, I know it came up in the discussion here about, if it fails, we'll have to repeat it. But I think what John's point is, and I feel the same way, is that we have, I think, a better chance of this being passed. So if it passes, we don't have to repeat it. And I think we have to take that into consideration. And I do think that being able to form that committee is our best shot at making sure that we're holding off. A year ago or so, and this would be a prior board, we faced a lot of criticism for not taking our budget and our story of our finances, to the entire local community. And that really led to a lot of difficulty working with the sheriff's millage and such situations, and even being able to talk about it without falling into a lot of criticism. I say eliminate the criticism. Let's get this committee.
Okay, there's a motion on the board, or on the table. Commissioner Plowman made it, Chairman Howie seconded it, to go ahead and start the committee and shoot for March. Vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
We'll move it on. Now we'll get item 16.
Good discussion, everyone. Thank you.
All right, first I would like to thank all of you for taking the time to hear us today, considering the concerns that you guys have with the operating millage. I appreciate that you're listening to our concerns today. I gave you the presentation with your packet, so you'll have it in front of you, but I'm just going to go over that here in PowerPoint with you. If you have any questions, please just let me know. Some of you I have went through this with you already. We're kind of in the boat that you guys are with, we've got to do something now because our revenues have been declining, our expenses have been increasing, and we have new expenses coming up with technology that the state is expecting us to take on and we have no funding for. There we go. So, just a little bit about our history. We were at a voter-approved $2.50 when in 2008 the state changed the way the funding is for the 911 community. They changed it, it was $2.50 on landlines only, and they changed it to where it is $1.22 for all devices capable of contacting 911. So it was your cell phones, because there was an increasing number of cell phones that weren't being charged, and people were starting to drop their landlines. So
with the Public Act 164 and 65 of 2007, they changed the way they were going to fund 911, and they made it an all device surcharge. So it would charge everything. And that was a $1.28 difference there in the surcharge. And the thought was that that decrease in funding that we were going to get would be made up by the number of devices that were now being billed. However, that only held true for the first year. In 2009, we did increase. However, in 2009, we still had a significant amount of landlines in the county, and people were just adding cell phones, and they were keeping their landlines because we had poor cell service. Now we're trending to where people are dropping their landlines, and they already have cell phones, so there's no difference being made up. And our population has decreased by 2.43% since 2010. And with that, so has our number of devices. Another major problem that we have, and the state has found, is that the public is largely turning to the prepaid devices. With prepaid devices, and the next page that I give you guys, and there's just the numbers so that you can see those. I did take the population right from the Census Bureau. But the prepaid devices, the way the funding works on that for us is it's the retail transaction of that device. So if you have a $200 phone that you're buying at the store, 1.92% of that goes for a 911 emergency fund to the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan holds that whole fund. Then they distribute 85% of that to the rest of the state. And I'll explain to you how they distribute that. But we only get a small portion of that. And part of that can only be spent on training. It can't even be spent on operational funds. So out of that 82.5% of the state's emergency fund, 40% is equally distributed between the counties, and 60% is distributed by per capita of their population. Right now, the state is using our 2010 population of 70,648, I think it is. However, we have been decreasing, so once they reach the 2020 census, that's going to change. But what this amounts to us is about a $200,000 payment a year. That's it, what we get out of that. 2010 to 2014, these are actuals. In 2010, we were down by almost $12,000, almost $8,000 in 2011. 2012, we did have an increase, but the actual balance on that, we only had $30,000 additional in funding. The rest of it, where employee expenses were down, things like that. But then in 2013, down by $19,000, 2014 down by $70,000. So it's been 2010 to 2014, a steady decrease of an average amount of about 3%, and our operating expenses just keep increasing. So if we look forward for our estimates from 2015 through 2020, and this is status quo, this is without any of the required upgrades that I'll explain to you. Status quo, we're looking at possibly estimated $130,000 deficit 2015, 2016 $155,000, all the way up to $748,000 in 2020. Now, if we look at the projected budget, where we are trying as a 911 board to plan ahead for the improvements, for the technology, the things that the state and our citizens expect of us, the things that help keep our citizens safe, we've put together a projected budget of what we're going to need to try and make that happen. And you can see the increasing deficit when you add in those required upgrades and our projected needs.
Pam, do you have a hopeful ballpark figure for the cost of the new equipment, of the upgrades?
Yes, I got estimates from some companies on a couple different things. The 911 phone system is one of the upgrades that we're going to have. What has happened is the state and the FCC, they've required the phone companies, the large phone companies are all supposed to have this equipment that provides internet-based operations, texting and all of that. So they have to provide it, yes. They have to provide it. And so therefore they did that. But now their systems are these internet-based systems, so they're no longer going to be able to support our legacy systems. I talked to Frontier, who is our provider at this time, and we were given about a year that they're going to try to support us yet, and that's it. To upgrade our 911 system just so we can answer that phone call is approximately $400,000. That's just one single upgrade. And that's just to answer the phone call.